welcome to Conquering Mount Scrap with Brenda. I'm Brenda, and today we're here with another episode of the Quilter Circle Challenge, and this one's from Sam Albert. So we're going to put her video in here, right here, and you can hear her challenge.
Hello, I'm Sam Alberts at Quilting Curve Studio. I'm from beautiful British Columbia, Canada, and I live in the unceded territory of the Interior Salish-speaking peoples. And my challenge for the Quilters Challenge 2026 is orphan blocks. I challenge you to make something out of all of the orphan blocks. The ones you've made yourself, the ones you've acquired, and maybe some of the ones that are in the back of the closet that you've really tried to forget about. So grab those orphan blocks, big and small, and let's go stitch.
So, it's orphan blocks. I make all sorts of orphan blocks every week. I have tons of orphan blocks. So what I did is I contacted my community chairperson for Charity Quilts, that looks after the charity quilts for our guild. And she said, we're in need of twin-size quilts right now. So I figured, okay, we're going to do this. It's going to be fun. Now, I'm going to, when we sew this quilt together, I'm going to use webbing technique. You can use whatever technique you want to sew your orphan blocks together. And I picked all my 12.5-inch squares out. So we've got a lot of different varieties. So this is pretty much it. But there's all sorts of different ways you can work with orphan blocks, right? So we're going to be talking about that as we're sewing. But let's get to all the shout outs and everything else we've got to talk about. So the first shout out here is Sherry at My Quilting World. Sherry Yurchin at My Quilting World, and Rita at the Crystal Dragon House of Creations. That's kind of cool. Both of these content creators are having all sorts of fun over in their channel, so go check them out. And when you do check them out and you hit their subscribe button, tell them that Brenda from Conquering Mount Scrapmore sent you. It'll be a nice surprise for both of them. Now, we also, in the show notes or the description box below, we have all of the Zoom sew dates from now until the end of December. It's the first Saturday of every month from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, because I'm in Alberta, Canada. Making comments, thumbs up, share, like, subscribe, hype on your cell phones, and hit the bell. All of those things help drive our analytics, and we get to give more free patterns and ideas and whatnot to other quilters. So if you want to help us out, this would be what you can do for us. Also, we have a Facebook group. It's warm and it's welcoming. We have all sorts of fun community chats. We do fabric exchanges by country to keep postal costs down. A virtual sewing room right now. It's hosted by Discord. And the admins say, please agree to the rules and please answer all the questions. Otherwise, I can't let you in without messaging you and all the rest of the stuff. We're trying to keep that room very safe for quilters. That's what we're trying to do. So, now, also, I speak for free to quilting guilds and quilting groups, and if you want to get a hold of me for a free speaking engagement, the About tab has my email address, or you can message me directly through the Facebook group. I'm faster at Facebook than I am at the email. So, also, if you guys have shout-outs, because you obviously have more time to look for shout-outs for YouTube than I do. If you see a quilting challenge that's or a quilting channel that is having fun and doing all sorts of great content, please send them my way. Send me a link to their channel, and I'd be happy to put them on the shout-out list. Also, we've got 2 collaborations going this spring, summer, and fall. The first one was the Quilter Circle Challenge, this one that we're doing. And it's Future Cat from New Zealand, Kelly from Kelly's Quilts Plus, Sam Alberts, Deb from Sewing with Debbie, Michelle from Bits and Pieces, and Kelly from Silly Moon Quilting. And we're just having a blast, and we're coming up with, we challenge our viewers and we challenge each other to do something that means, you know, whatever the theme was. And of course, Sam's theme today is orphan block. So I'm going to try and make an orphan block quilt, right, for you today. The other challenge is Back to Basics, and that's ran by Handmade by Ying with Donna, and she's assembled a bunch of YouTubers. All of those people are in the show notes as well. Make sure you're subscribed to at least all of them so you don't miss any content there for the Back to Basics collaboration. Because those, you know, it's always good to go back to, this is what I should be doing, not what bad habit I've picked up. And I've been picking up some bad habits, and I know I have to correct them. But it's also really good for the beginners, because that's where it's aimed at, is the beginner. But we're having all sorts of fun. New is the Sew Yeah group. is doing their charity drive to Alaska. Now it ends August 15th, and I'm going to put a link to their YouTube channel and their store so you can get more information from them. I just wanted to help advertise that charity drive that they do for people in Alaska. So I think that's it. Yes, come on in. Let's get to the sewing for the Orphan Block Challenge. Okay. We're at the sewing machine and I've got a pile of blocks here. Now the only thing making these blocks cohesive is the color pink. And I know you guys are sitting there, what do you mean? Every block here has some pink in it, so it will look cohesive because of this color. Now this one is like, well, there's not a lot of pink in there. Yes, there is pink. There's enough pink in there to make it look cohesive. So we just pulled out of my 12.5-inch drawer. Now I am not sure how all these are going to go together, and I just pulled out a random bunch of them, and I thought, okay, well, we'll just make this work. You know, like some of them are more pink than others, but it works. Now you can go through your blocks and do it that way if you want. You know, just pull out, like, a common color is green, right? Pull out all the greens, or they're all warm tones, they're all cool tones, right? You could do that too. And you make something look very cohesive. What I'm going to show you is how to do it by size, but I'm also going to show you a webbing technique. So I want to take 7 down and 5 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 down. So these are my down, the blocks that are going to be sewn first. We're doing columns first and then rows. And what happens then is that there's no sashing. But I want to show you a basic webbing technique when we're doing these orphan blocks. I have hundreds and hundreds of orphan blocks. And I was sitting there thinking, where do I even start to do orphan blocks, right? So this is where we're going to start. So I've got one set on, I know you can't see this, I took them off camera, but I've got one set on my leg, and I got another set here on the table that I will draw from. And basically I've got the wrong foot on now. But you can do them by color, you can do them all by size. Let's say you don't have a lot of orphan blocks, but you have 35. Well, 35, you could make a twin size quilt, you know, 7 down, 5 across, right? And that's a good size twin if your blocks are 12-inch, right? So, you know, sometimes, you know, people go, well, yes, I have orphan blocks, but I don't have that many orphan blocks, and I'm kind of, you know, well, you can also set them up so they all end up measuring the same size. Like some of the blocks in here, I've added a little border on so that they will measure 12.5 inches. They were like, you know, 12 or 11 or something silly like this. And I thought, okay, we'll just add them in and, you know, it'll be fine. It'll look great. Okay, so let's just go through. And this is going to be wildly colored, of course. This is a Brenda quilt. This is wildly colored. Oh, surprise. Okay, the next block here will be this one. And we're going to put a basket block here on top of it. And it's got, yes, one pink petal. So it works. Yeah, and it's kind of, don't worry about, you know, also, you kind of forget about all the things, you know. Don't get all wound up about all this stuff, right? You know, you're making a crazy, fun twin size quilt or orphan block quilt. And if you're donating it to a charity, you know, sometimes the fun pieces are, you know, the ones that the kids love the most, right? Okay, this block and the apartment block. Now, this is a directional one, so you want to make sure it goes in the right direction, because that's helpful. It's helpful if they go all the right direction. Okay, just make sure. So make sure if you've done any foundation paper piece blocks that they're all peeled and they've got their stay stitching on, because that's important that they have their stay stitching on so they don't get distorted. There we go. Now this is one of the blocks. The coping strip is black, right? So that's a block that we want to put here. Now, not all of these, I'm going to tell you a secret right now, not all of these are blocks I made. Like, you know, you put something very pink against something that's very multicolored. It'll be nice for a girl, little girl. You know, there. Not all of the, some of the blocks were donated by other people. So yeah, those things happen. And some of them might not be shown. I just thought of that. Yeah, some of them might be, hey, wait a minute, we've never seen that block. Yeah, some of them might not be shown. They might be, because we're filmed way ahead now. We're filmed all, it's May 4th. Today is the day we're filming. And we're already filmed out to the middle of June. So, that's why, you know, things like, oh, I better talk to Soya to find out when their charity drive is, because you don't want to miss that. But, here. And another one. There we go. There. There we go. Yeah, if it had pink, it was going. There. And the last one. The last one goes down. And this one goes up. There. Now, once you finish the first column, right, you just, okay, get it all lined up and just keep sewing. They're very simple. Now, you could have put sashing and cornerstones in. That just makes this webbing technique so much easier. Now, another thing you can do, if you have a whole bunch of different size blocks, what you can do, I'm just going to pull this here, cut it, and now when I'm pulling it back, oops, when I'm pulling it back, I'm opening the block, right? So the one on top will be on top, right? The one that is going to be, here we go, there, just like so. And that way you can keep everything the way you want it to be kept. I just put these blocks randomly in. I figured I don't need to be precise with anything. So the next one, just like a book, you turn the page and you put the next one down. Right? That's very, very simple. And we're just going to do a couple of them. And you can see how when you open them up, so now I'm going to go down this column all the way down the column. Because I've got seven down, right? And I'm going to make 5 columns, right? So, very easy to do. Okay, this one comes up, and there we go. We put that in next. Yeah, some of these are very happy little blocks. There. Happy, scrappy little blocks. Okay. Some of the blocks tend to be more full than others. Be ready to deal with that. You know, sometimes you gotta ease in your block, right? You know, and it's easier to ease something in if the larger is below, because then your feed dogs are doing what they're supposed to be doing. If you have to ease it in from the top, you might end up with little puckers, and those little puckers will quilt out. Little ones, not big ones, little ones. Now here's another one that I made the right size. And I'm going to put that here. All of these are just fun. fun, bright craziness. But anyways. Anyways, I think you guys have got the idea. So once I get to the end, I'm going to open them up and put them down just the same way I did the first column. Okay, so I'm going to be mindful of your time. Okay, so that technique here. Now this is where you don't want two rails blocks beside each other, so you would put this one down further into the pile, right? Just to put something different there. You want something different beside it. There we go. And that's the only thing you do really with orphan blocks like this. I just want something different beside it, that's all. Okay, and you would take your time, of course, you know, to size them all up. Make sure they're all the same size, or close to the same size. You're not really good at easing in. You want them the same size or easier to sew. And here's where I'm going to cut, and we're just going to go. I'll finish all of this making the columns, and then we'll go back to the rows. Okay, so we'll be back. Okay, so we're back on the sewing machine. All of the columns, all 5 columns have been done. Now we're doing the 7 rows. So basically you can see we're connected by a thread, and we just flip it over and we put it under here. Now I did get some sewing done first so that it wouldn't be quite so weird. But yeah, it's good. There's a lot going on this little table. Okay, so now basically, you're just going to sew the rows together now. And you are dealing with the entire weight of the quilt, yes, but everything's in order the way you need it to go, right? So Les is standing here wondering what he needs to do, but I think I can manage. I'm good. I'm good. So, yeah, I'm good. All right. Now, you go to every thread, and I want to be able to get in there and really see what is going on. So I am going to make sure that I'm clipping that thread and then folding it the way I need it to go so I can have it perfect. There we go. Now, there. Oh. And if we're a little off on the blocks, just kind of like get yourself all, you know, I'm wearing the wrong pants for doing this, that's for sure. Okay. There we go. And some of the blocks might be just a hair out. But that's okay. When you're dealing with orphan blocks, you get really good at learning how to ease, right? Now, there's some pretty colorful blocks in here. But anyways, there. You get pretty good at learning how to ease. All of the blocks looked like they were the same size. And I did have one block that I had to ease in on all 4 sides because it was a wee bit short. We're talking less than 1/4 of an inch. But, you know, that's what the feed dogs are for, right? That's why we have good feed dogs, and we keep them really clean so they can work really well. There we go. And I'll grab that again. Line up that where it needs to nest. There. Now, when you're doing this method, it's actually easier to put in like cornerstones and sashing, but it takes forever to do that. And I thought, I want to be very conscious of your time that you're spending watching. Now, some people don't like this method. It doesn't make sense to them. You go do you. But once you learn how to do this, assembly goes together very quickly. You know, because you're not getting up and down and going across to your design wall or your design floor, picking up 3 blocks or 2 blocks, and then having to unpick one of them because you sewed it in wrong. And, you know, it avoids all of that. All of that stuff goes away. So that's the nice part about this method. But, you know, some people just have a hard time doing it this way, and that's okay. That's okay, you do you. I'm not forcing anybody to do something a certain way. That's not why we're here. It doesn't sound like a lot of fun. It doesn't, really, it doesn't. Okay, so then you pull it all back towards you, and you take this and you flip it over onto the next row, right? So you've got this great amount of stuff here, and that you're going to sew together next. All right, very, very quick. So, oops. And my foot fell off, and this fell off, and that fell off. Okay, let's get all that sewed together. This foot comes off because of the vibrations in the machine. It vibrates in the machine. So let's get all that back, put back together. There we go, and we get to the next junction where the thread is, and I just flip it open so I can really get in there and see what I have. And I know all my directional blocks are facing in the right block, the direction, right? So there will be an up and down on this quilt, a definite up and down. And there we go. And sometimes you just have to take your time, you know. Anyways, when you're working with orphan blocks, the other thing you can do is lay out a whatever you're making, like a twin size quilt. Now, you're going to be working, I forgot to tell you about this, you're going to be working in finished sizes, right? So you can take, mine are usually 60.5, that's five 12-inch blocks across, and 7 down. 7 times 12 is 84. So 60 by 84, right? So you draw that out on a piece of paper, drafting paper, and you take things like, okay, I want to make, you know, 3 areas that are, you know, 1 area that's 18 by 24. You can now start taking out your panels, or, you know, if you have a panel that you want to throw in, you could throw that in there too. Just take the finished size, not the unfinished size, the finished size, and start drafting it out as to where to add what when, right? And you can assemble them very quickly, and they look absolutely lovely. You know, and that's something we forget to do because, you know, we've got all this other stuff going on. Yeah, the panels are great to add. I have panel blocks, or panels that I can cut into blocks. And I just have to add a little bit of fabric to make it a, you know, 12 or a 15-inch finished block, you know, or 18 or whatever I was going to work with. And, you know, and then you can start adding in little blocks too, right? So let's say I have a whole bunch of 3-inch finished blocks, like you were sewing from Mini Monday. Well, you could add those in. You know, you could simply just put them in, right? Because now, you know, you put a couple of rows around that 12-inch block to fill that 18-inch space. You know, you very quickly can use up a bunch of 3.5-inch blocks. Or, yeah, it's just, it's doing the math by finished size is easier. So when you're mapping these out, that's the way to go. And all of my fabric has fallen onto the floor. Again. There we go. Okay. Let's go this way. There we go. And point. Boy, some of these blocks have been kicking around in my stash for a while. I'm glad they're leaving for a charity quilt. It'll be kind of a wild looking quilt when we're done, but it'll be fun. But yeah, you just decide on your size of quilt. You can also do this for a queen size as well. It does take a little more drafting and, you know, once you figure out what you're doing. But yeah, draft paper, perfect for this. There we go. And we got another one done. Okay, what I'm going to do is I've got one seam left right down the middle, and I'm going to do that one off camera, and then I'll get to our ta-da moment, okay? So here's the Orphan block challenge that Sam Alberts put out, and I decided, okay, I have hundreds and hundreds of Orphan blocks in this sewing room. And I should probably do another Orphan block challenge for myself just to see how many, you know, quilts I can make and how many I can move out. But here we are. This is where we are. Now, all I did was I went through my Orphan blocks and I picked out stuff that had pink. And I did 35 blocks, 5 across, 7 down. Real simple. No sashing, no cornerstones, very quick, very easy, and it ends up being quite a beautiful little block or quilt. So let me show you what we got here. So let's see, I think this is the long way. This is a long way, right? So now you might recognize some of these blocks and you might not recognize some of them because they're not all mine. So like this block was my friend Charlie's. She started it. She gave it to me to finish. A couple of these were all part of the thing except for this one. That was somebody else's block. And we go across. All of these are on the channel, you know, in different places. So this one here is not mine. That's somebody else's. And here, we'll just flip it the other way. Okay, hold this out. This is the challenge block I did for florals. Let's let go. There we go. So you can see more. And of course, this block is sideways, but this is the top. This is the top. And this ends the bottom. This is somebody else's block. This is somebody else's block. This is somebody else's block. This is a really early Free Pattern Friday block. So yeah, there's lots of different fun ones in here. This one's really bright too. But anyway, so I will be giving this one to as a donation quilt. So yeah, I'm not sure which charity it's going to. I just make the quilt top and they decide what charity. I'm good with whatever. It's going to charity. So you guys have an absolutely wonderful day. I'm out of breath already just by struggling with this. Have an absolutely wonderful day ahead, and I hope everything in your life is going really well and that, you know, life is peaceful for you as well. Okay, you guys take care and stay well until we see each other again. Okay, bye! My husband and I would like to thank you for all of your support and watching our videos and sharing and liking. It has just been, you've put us on such an amazing journey and we are having so much fun. I hope everything is going so well in your life and, you know, your 1/4 inch is perfect. Everything is working out for you. And we're just so happy to be part of your lives and you having, like I say, you're watching us. I was just so thrilled that you're doing that. So I want to say goodbye and I want to thank you with all my heart. Okay? Take care. Bye.